I think just Mayor Pro Tem. Mayor Pro Tem. Drop the mist. I was waiting for a quorum. All right, it is 1:02, and we'll bring the Irving City Council work session for January 29th to order. First item on the agenda is citizen comments on items on the agenda. Do we have anyone signed up to speak?
Yes, sir, we do. We have Mr. Ralph Hudnall. Ralph, you have 3 minutes. You're welcome.
Acting Mayor John, the mayor's not here, but doing a good job, sir. Council members, city staff, my name is Ralph Hudnall, Hudnall. I reside at 1632 Drexel, Drexel Drive, here in Irving, Texas, 75061. I'm here today to speak in favor of in respect to Mr. Jack Spurlock. I've known this gentleman for many, many years. He has been with this city council, the zoning board. He has been with many, I would say, organizations and things like that in this great city. I'm here today to say that I would like to have the park that is being next to his house just completed, which looks very, very nice at night. You guys did a great job. Whoever did that did great on the job there. I would like to have his name put on this particular monument or this particular park. Again, he has served this city well. You can walk into about any store, any location, mention Jack Spurlock's name, and you will get, yeah, I know Mr. Spurlock. I always recognize him as being debonair, dressed in a suit and tie, coiffed and everything. And I think with this park being named after him, the gentleman's 95 years old. And I would like to see this park named after him. And that's all I have to say. Thank you for your attention.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Hudnall. All right. The next item on our agenda is the city operations update. Chris?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. It's good to be with you, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. It's good to be with you all. This is our opportunity each year to recognize our exceptional employees of the year. We have them here today, and I would like to introduce them to you. And while I do that, I'd like to read a little bit about each one of them and the contributions that they have contributed in order to be recognized for this distinction. Just so you know, this is an employee-driven process. These are employees that recognize their fellow employees, and a committee of employees then makes the determination based upon those submissions of who would be recognized and who would receive the recognition itself. What they receive is $200 as a check. Equally important is a designated parking space, which we all know how important that is, and the award itself. As I was talking with Dennis here a few minutes ago, Dennis would like to start the council member employee of the year or recognition of the year because he heard that there was money involved, that he wants to self-nominate himself. I said, you bet that just takes a simple charter change, if I understand the charter correctly, KO, in order for them to receive additional dollars. But with that being said, I'd like to go ahead and begin the recognition of our Exceptional Employee of the Year awards. The first one is the Administrative Exceptional Employee of the Year recipient. This individual demonstrates Irving's mission, vision, and values through her professionalism and strong commitment to customer service. She goes above and beyond by updating web pages. She represents the Parks and Recreation Department at a high level and strives for better within the department. Her dedication, attention to detail, and collaborative approach make her an example of Irving's values and a strong candidate for the Exceptional Employee of the Year award. This year's Administrative Exceptional Employee of the Year recipient is Rebecca Ortiz over in our Parks and Recreation Department, and she serves as our Athletics and Rentals Coordinator. Rebecca, come on up. Is she here? Okay. All right. We have an extra parking space now. I'm kidding. We will keep that parking space for Rebecca. The next one is the Exceptional Employee of the Year for Field Operations. We have two of those. The first one is this employee takes pride in her work, always on time, and completes her duties to keep the Criminal Investigations Division super clean. She brings a positive and welcoming attitude that creates a pleasant workplace. She has proven to exceed expectations, is reliable, and her attention to detail is beyond what's expected. For Field Operations Exceptional Employee of the Year is Jenna Johnson, custodian over in CIP. Jenna.
Thank you so much.
I'm doing individuals, and then we'll do a group. Okay. Then we'll do an individual picture.
Thank you.
All right. Let's hear it again for Jenna. Well done, Jenna. Our second Field Operations Exceptional Employee of the Year. This employee demonstrates a strong commitment to the city's mission, vision, and value statements. Over the past year, this employee has been a representative for multiple water utility projects. He continues to support daily operations, focuses on safety and the public impact, as well as the maintenance and special projects. Our second Field Operations Exceptional Employee of the Year is Robert Hurtado, Pumps and Motors Section Chief in Water Utilities. Robert, come on up. Again, let's hear for Robert. Our Management Exceptional Employee recipients, there are two of them. This individual plays a critical role in managing the planning department's high volume of zoning cases. He makes sure each case is thoroughly prepared, accurate, and ready for council. The proof on his work supports Irving's mission by promoting informed, transparent development decisions that align with long-term community goals. Mayor and council, you are very familiar with this individual, our Exceptional Employee of the Year, Kenneth Bloom, Planning Manager in Planning. Our second Management Exceptional Employee of the Year. This employee went above and beyond by taking on extra duties as an MGO software administrator while continuing to do her regular job duties. She has patience and respect towards coworkers and customers. As an MGO administrator, she trained other departments, improved workflows, and kept her positive attitude. Her dedication goes unnoticed and is an exceptional employee. Our second Management Exceptional Employee of the Year recipient is Kimberly Ellison, Customer Services Supervisor in Inspections. Our next category is the Part-Time Exceptional Employee of the Year Award. This employee embodies the City of Irving's mission, vision, and values by delivering exceptional service daily through accurate solutions, ensuring that internal processes run efficiently and effectively. By keeping systems accurate and running smoothly, he supports the departments that engage directly with residents and businesses. His professionalism and amicable nature contribute to a positive, respectful workplace culture that directly supports the city's larger goal of fostering safe, welcoming environments. He is consistent and always able to help the team finish work. This year's Part-Time Exceptional Employee of the Year goes to Israel Hernandez, IT intern over in information technology. Israel. Okay, our Professional Exceptional Employee of the Year recipient. This employee supports the City of Irving's mission through her strong leadership, creativity, and dedication to improvement. She has revamped the city's innovation and performance website, making it more accessible, engaging, and reflective of the city's forward-thinking approach. This employee consistently models professionalism in her interactions with colleagues, residents, and partners. She inspires others and drives meaningful change across departments. This year's Professional Exceptional Employee of the Year is to Gabriela Garza, Senior Management Analyst in the City Manager's Office. Gabby? Our last Exceptional Employee of the Year recognition is for the Technical Exceptional Employee of the Year. This employee is an exceptional employee whose leadership, integrity, and work ethic strongly embody the city's mission, vision, and pride values. He is dependable and approaches every task with professionalism and pride. He fosters open communication, building trust, and supporting the professional growth of his staff. He successfully improved workflows during a high workload period, bringing performance goals back on track and accomplishing all the goals that were there. This year's Technical Exceptional Employee of the Year recipient is Jason Russell, Chief Plans Examiner in Inspections. Jason. Going back to our first, again, that was our Administrative Exceptional Employee of the Year, and we have Rebecca Ortiz, Athletics and Rentals Coordinator in Parks Department. Rebecca. Short people in back. I'm kidding. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So good to see you. Mayor Pro Tem and council members. One last recognition, if I may. This is not an Exceptional Employee of the Year, but this is the marking of a 40-year anniversary with this city. And what we have is we have a pin here, and there's a diamond for each of the 5 years. There's a lot of bling on this because with 40 years you get a lot of diamonds. And if I could please call up your fire chief, Victor Conley, whose 40-year anniversary was on Monday.
So if I hawk that thing, how much am I gonna get for it? Thank you, boss. Appreciate it.
Come over here. We're not done. Victor does a great job with our fire department, ensuring that all of our residents are safe. And not only that, he's just a great guy to work with. So Victor, thank you for 40 years, and here's to 40 more
There you go.
years. Bribes accepted. So this does require a quick speech, so go ahead.
Oh, man. Where do I begin, right? 40 years. You've heard this, right? Let's start at year one.
Year one.
Yeah, so y'all be patient now. It's been a good ride, I'll tell you. I mean, the first 20 years, I couldn't wait to get to that, guaranteed pension, It's like, man, if I could just make it. It was kind of touch and go for a while, but I finally made it. But the last 20 have really flown by, and I cannot say enough about this city, the people that work for it. We have our ups and downs, but we always have a good time when we get stuff done. And that's the good thing about the city of Irving. I've seen cities of equal size, nowhere near the professionalism that we have in this city. Nowhere near the get things done attitude that we have in this city. And that goes from the council members all the way to the people that clean up our offices. And I'm grateful for each and every one of them. I thank the people that clean my office every day, and I thank you guys for supporting us in our vision and our ideas. We couldn't get things done around here without you, council, without the management team. I can't say enough. And like I said a week or two ago, I love being a public servant. I love finding solutions to problems. That's just kind of what we do. Firefighters, the one biggest adjustment I had as a firefighter coming into this level is I'm used to getting things done and getting results right now. Well, it took a little time to learn. The system here, once I got to this level, they just don't move that quick, But we do get them done. That's the main thing. So thank you. I appreciate your support. I love working with each and every one of you, and I look forward to a few more days, not 40 more, but a few more days. I don't know that I can hold out for another 5 years. These diamonds are getting pretty heavy, I'm just telling you. Thank y'all.
All right, with that, I think our next operations update, we're going to have Lauren. I think, Mayor Pro Tem, did you want to come up? Then we'll go to our other operations updates.
Yes, we do have a couple of proclamations to
Okay,
do.
very good. Let's do the proclamations, and we'll get to our other two.
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
So the first proclamation we have actually has to do with one of the operations updates. Can I get Katie Welch and her team up. So we're gonna get an update on this after the proclamations, but all right. Whereas a growing number of cities and city leaders are using data and evidence to more strategically deliver services and solve problems, invest public dollars in programs that work for their cities, increase transparency, and improve the lives of residents. And whereas Bloomberg Philanthropies What Works Cities certification is an international initiative launched in 2017 that helps cities adopt foundational data practices, develop data skills for city staff, and put in place critical data infrastructure. And whereas Irving's Innovation and Performance Office completed its second What Works Cities certification assessment to benchmark its data practices and to develop a roadmap for building the infrastructure, skills, and culture needed to effectively use data and evidence to deliver better outcomes for residents. And whereas in completing this assessment, Irving reaffirmed its membership among an international community of cities that are adopting and scaling data-driven approaches to pressing challenges and government operations. And whereas What Works Cities certification celebrates cities for their exceptional use of data to inform policy decisions, allocate funding, improve services, evaluate program effectiveness, and engage their residents. Now, therefore, I, John Block, on behalf of Rick Stouffer, Mayor of the City of Irving, and the City Council, do hereby proclaim that Irving has met the What Works Cities certification standards of excellence for data-driven local government and achieved What Works Cities Gold certification. And I believe we have a...
It was this nice
Yep.
plaque, so, yes.
Show it off.
Thank you. And I know Lauren's actually going to give, during the operations update, a little more info about the program. But yes, this is the nice plaque they gave us, so thank y'all.
Yeah, do a quick picture. For the second proclamation, could I get Deputy Chief Mitchell and and the human trafficking team up here? Okay. So, whereas human trafficking is a global crisis and a grave violation of human rights that impacts individuals of all ages, genders, and backgrounds, including within the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, and whereas the City of Irving is committed to action, awareness, and partnerships to comprehensively address the issues of human trafficking, ensuring the safety and dignity of every resident, and whereas traffickers exploit systemic vulnerabilities and isolation, making it essential that our community remains vigilant in identifying signs of labor and sex trafficking in our neighborhoods, industries, and online spaces, and whereas through proactive action, we support the enforcement of laws that hold traffickers accountable, through increased awareness, we empower our citizens and first responders to recognize and report suspicious activity, and through strategic partnerships, we bridge the gap between law enforcement, service providers, and advocacy groups. And whereas 2026 marks a renewed dedication to the 4P paradigm, prevention, protection, prosecution, and partnership, as we work toward a future where no individual is subjected to exploitation or modern-day slavery. Now, therefore, I, John Block, on behalf of Rick Stouffer, Mayor of the City of Irving, and the City Council, do hereby proclaim January 2026 as Human Trafficking Prevention Month in Irving, Texas.
If I may, real quick, I want to point out the outstanding work that our victim services and counseling services team, they do every day. And they're incredibly important piece of the process of what we try to accomplish as an organization. Just a couple of real quick stats from 2025. We had over 600 cyber tips that came in specific to the city of Irving. And when you look at how we were able to impact not only potential victims but also victims, we have a lot of work to do with getting the word out. And this is a big piece of it, this proclamation. In the last 2 years, we had 35 women who were being trafficked that we identified, and just a little over 10% accepted the offer of services. I'd like to see they get closer. Obviously, we want 100% right, but let's start pushing towards 50. So proclamations like this is a big part of that. Thank you.
All right. Mayor Pro Tem and Council, our next operations update is our What Work Cities Gold Certification update, and then we'll have that followed by a winter weather update and review.
All right, good afternoon, Council. My name is Lauren Hale. I'm the Strategic Services Senior Manager, and I'm here today to give y'all an update on the What Work Cities initiative, kind of some background information on that proclamation that y'all just heard about. So for some of y'all, you may know the term What Work Cities, and that's because Irving has been working on achieving some type of certification in that program since it was founded back in 2017. Bloomberg Philanthropies founded this initiative. It is an international program that is set to provide cities from North, South, and Central America with best practices and guidelines on how you can utilize data to better inform your decision-making and to implement evidence-based programs and increase transparency with those that you serve, whether those be your customers, your residents, your visitors, your businesses, and even those that we're accountable to, like the council. So What Works Cities is focused, again, on those evidence-based decision-making skills, and in order to receive a certification, your city is assessed across multiple categories. There's 8 categories with 43 governance standards within those. And so some of the categories that we're assessed against is things like having an open data policy, which the council adopted back in 2019, having an open data portal and increasing the access and transparency to data that we publish to our residents, and having that executive level commitment to data-informed decision-making, which we're very lucky to have from the very top with the mayor, our mayor pro tem, and our council through our city manager's office, which really creates that data culture that we're currently thriving in. So we're very grateful for y'all and your support in this initiative that we've kind of been able to grow in over the years. So as mentioned in that proclamation, our What Works Cities journey, we were certified in silver in 2021. That was a 3-year initiative. We started it in 2019, and our certifications last for 3 years. So in 2024, when we picked up our assessment so that we could start to certify again, we actually did meet the silver certification level, but through Katie's leadership and guidance, IPO decided to push themselves to really see if they could make it to gold. And so throughout 2025, IPO worked tirelessly to earn the gold certification, and as of January 14th, we have officially certified in gold at a city level. So IPO has really worked hard on just strengthening their own data practices, but also coordinating some of the initiatives across the board. And so with that executive leadership culture that is kind of driving us, IPO has been working and coordinating with different teams on improving and infusing data-informed and evidence-based practices within everything that we do. Every single budget year, you hear Chris say we're the most transparent transparent budget book that he's ever seen. And a lot of those supplemental requests that you'll see come through your budget books have questions in them that are driven from what works cities. Are data informed practices used for this supplemental request? Have you done a rigorous evaluation on your need and things like that? So it really is embedded in our culture, even if it doesn't say what works cities TM. We have started to take those best practices and implement those. So in 2025, some of the things that IPO did to earn the certification is reaffirm and expand our open data portal. And on the roadmap for that open data portal is to continue to partner with our friends in inspections and MGO to work on what more data we can put out there for our residents. We've also coordinated a quarterly data governance committee that includes staff from most departments from the top down, whether it be the city secretary's office, our city attorney's office, and they've really worked on increasing just how we work together as a collaborative team and how we share data. And then we've adopted some evidence-based programs organizationally that I will let Katie highlight.
Hi, my name is Katie Welch, Innovation and Performance Officer. And really, I just wanted to say thank you, or our IPO team wanted to say thank you to all of our different departments who are actually doing this great work with their data and using it to make these informed decisions and improve services. It's really because of our departments and their day-to-day work that we were able to go from silver to gold. So I just wanted to highlight a few examples of projects that we actually highlighted in our submission that allowed us to meet the criteria. So a few examples, so code enforcement's hotspot study in partnership with the police department and University of Texas at Arlington, municipal drainage utilities Operation Clean Stream project, where they piloted a new technology to help remove some bacteria from streams, and they collected data to see its effectiveness. Housing and Redevelopment's data-based research for launching the domestic violence feasibility study, and the police department's participation in the Police Benchmark City Summit each year, where they go and they share data and they learn from other cities on best practices for policing. And then the last example, the Family Advocacy Center's evidence-based Camp Hope youth program. So those were just a few examples. We have a lot more across all of our departments that were used to help achieve this certification, but I just wanted to highlight a few for y'all today. Also want to thank, like Lauren mentioned, our IPO team sitting here in the second row, just for all their work to continue pushing data best practices and working with departments on data projects. So thank y'all for your time today. I'll pass it back to Lauren.
And with that, like Katie said, data-informed approaches is really just something that we're going to be focusing in on over the next 2026 to see if we can continue to highlight to y'all. So as you hear more presentations or as you receive your budget book, look out for some of those questions that may be posed, and it just kind of highlights some of the work that all of our departments are doing across the organization. So with that, congratulations, City of Irving on gold, and here's to platinum in 2028.
All right, our winter weather update. Jason, come on up, sir. I just want to say thank you to Jason, the entire emergency team, as well as to all the crews that were out on the streets and in the water facilities, et cetera, that just really helped us as a city get through and take care of our residents. So with that, Jason, how did it go out there?
Well, good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem, Council, City staff and guests, Jason Carrier, Emergency Management Coordinator. I'm going to do a quick recap of the impacts and response that we had to the winter weather event over this past week. A couple of details surrounding the event. So end of last week, we received an Arctic air mass with sub-freezing temperatures and winter precipitation that arrived to the North Texas region late Friday evening into Saturday morning. Dallas County was placed under a winter storm warning from Friday through Sunday, January 25th at noon, and then we rolled into an extreme cold warning until Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. Dallas County remained either below freezing or at freezing until Tuesday afternoon, where Irving hit 35 degrees for a couple hours before we dipped back down to below freezing temps. Dallas-Fort Worth Airport, that is where the National Weather Service measures official totals for precipitation, temperatures, things like that. They're still compiling all the data. The estimated amount for DFW Airport is 2.4 inches of sleet and snow, and they combine sleet and snow into the same category. It's separate than ice. And that may change a little bit. We did have, when I was out and about within the city, it seemed like the north side of the city got a little bit more than the south, but we did range in between the 2 and 3 inches from what we were measuring out different areas around town. This graphic depicts the ice accumulation for our region, with our area getting about between 1/10 and 1/4 inch of ice, which was way better than they originally forecasted. They were anticipating 1/4 to 1/2 an inch, and I think due to the fact we did not get as much ice, helped us out on the amount of power outages that we did not receive here in the city, which to help just move things along where people could stay at home in a safe, warm environment. This is the preliminary sleet snow amounts for this region that the National Weather Service shows, and it depicts the 2.4 inches there at DFW Airport. Usually, the farther north you went, the more amounts that we did receive. Again, these numbers may change a little bit, but I would say it's going to be fairly close to what they're estimating for our area. So event impacts. So wintry precipitation, that's a mix of ice accumulations, sleet and snow, as well as a little bit of freezing rain, resulted in significant travel impacts from Saturday, January 24th, starting around 1 a.m., 2 a.m. is when we really started seeing the impacts tighten up for our area, until Wednesday, January 28th, when temperatures were above freezing for a few hours. Extremely cold temps in the single digits made pipes and other infrastructure susceptible to damage. It was not as bad this time as it was during Winter Storm Uri, but we still did see impacts throughout the city. Thankfully, not very many city facilities were impacted, but we did have some. Non-essential services and facilities were closed from Friday, January 23rd, starting at 6 p.m. through Wednesday, January 28th, when we had a delayed opening of 10 a.m. yesterday. The highest number of outages during this event was a 6, impacting 188 customers. So a customer could be an apartment complex, a grocery store, a home. So we don't know the amount on the population that was impacted, but the most that we did see, we were checking it very regularly and in contact with Encore, was 188 customers, which that is close to a normal day. That's really not that bad, so that was very beneficial for us to not have as many equipment failures as we were anticipating, or as many issues from the lack of ice on the lines and trees. City response. Traffic and transportation, so streets ran 24-hour sanding operations starting at midnight on Saturday, January 24th. Streets spread over 900 cubic yards of sand on roadways and city facilities. 39 employees worked approximately 2,000 hours to ensure the roads were as drivable as possible. You know, we did have several problem spots, but they looked very good compared to what I was seeing on the news and out driving around as what they could be. Traffic deployed generators for traffic signals without power. We had 6 intersections that were without power, ensured the generators were fueled until power was restored. Those were primarily up in the north end of town where we did see those issues. Traffic operations also cleared and restored signs that were damaged, and then permanent fixes are in the work as the weather clears up to go out and make those repairs. Water utilities responded to 2 water main breaks, 1 sanitary sewer overflow, 1 water service repair, and 1 2-inch flush point release valve. Again, they're out in the elements doing their job and ensuring that our residents continue to have clean drinking water and that there were no issues. They also had increased staffing of 6 service technicians working 24 hours and 16-hour shifts, 11 standby technicians from the wastewater division, 1 standby dump truck driver, and 2 standby environmental compliance technicians. Moving on to public safety, Irving Police Department responded to 1,261 calls for service during the severe winter event. Breaking that down further, 105 accidents, 97 traffic hazards, so that's probably someone that was a stuck motor vehicle or spun out or something like that. The stranded motorists, 11 cruelty to animal calls, 9 homeless-related calls, the 2 water main breaks, 1 fire, and then 1 sinkhole. Specialized divisions were pulled from their normal assignments to augment and support the patrol division just due to the increased calls for service during the winter event. Irving Fire Department responded to 169 calls that were directly related to the winter storm. Irving Fire Department upstaffed the manning of all blocker vehicles and added a staff member to the dispatch office to respond to the increased call load that they were receiving. Response times were extended due to road conditions and the elements that they were facing. City response, emergency management operated 24/7. We had staff members that were in the city 24/7 to ensure that if anything was needed, we could source that. So we rostered city staff for potential EOC, warming center, and call center activations, but thankfully they were not needed, but we did have everything and everyone on standby in case we needed to make the call. Sent out 2 situational reports per day, readied and pre-positioned supplies for operations like supplies for the shelters. We had bottled water, space heaters, and different things that we may have needed if the power would have gone out. CIP, building services responded and repaired domestic water, the reduced pressure zone valve over at the Huffman building that was, and then also the dry system for the parking garage under the building and the CJC were impacted and repaired. They also spread ice melt to all city facility walkways to ensure there was a safe route to get in and out of the buildings. Communications monitored social media and shared resources to stay connected with our residents to ensure they had all the information in a timely manner. ICTN published a video featuring residents enjoying the winter weather as well as highlighting the continued work done by city staff working out in the elements. They also communicated facility closures and services suspended via internal and external resources. Code enforcement instituted periodic checking of complaint line, voicemail, and email throughout the weekend, and they also connected with the apartment complex that had reported a water leak and dealt with that issue to ensure that those residents staying there had water. Finance set up a project strain code to be used for expenses and staff time. We do this every time that we have a major incident, so that way we can track all the dollars that are spent dedicated to response to whatever that issue is. Thankfully, we didn't have to open the EOC and go much farther than that, but we still had it set up where any purchases will be tracked. IT ensured EOC IT infrastructure was operational and ready for use at the end of last week in case we needed to activate the Emergency Operations Center. So they stood it up and made sure all the equipment worked as it should. And they also ensured operational readiness of all of the other IT systems and supported throughout the weekend when issues did arise. Parks and Recreation identified 2 facilities to utilize as warming centers, 1 north, 1 south. They also rostered staff and prepared facilities for the warming center activation that thankfully we did not have to put in play. And then park staff monitored facility condition and addressed facility issues. We did have a burst pipe at Lively Point Youth Center that was addressed by staff, and that way the facility is back online. External response to some of the information that from our external partners. Irving ISD, Coppell ISD, and Dallas College remained closed through Wednesday, January 28th yesterday, and then Carrollton Farmers Branch remained closed through today, just due to the issues they had at some of the walkways and facilities and getting access to buses. While no city warming centers were open, the Irving Inclement Weather Shelter for the homeless population opened on Friday and remained open through the duration at the event. And sometimes they were at or a little bit above capacity, but they were providing those services and providing a safe, warm place for our homeless population to get out of the elements. DART had reduced services due to the travel impacts, and they also implemented bus bridges for issues that they were encountering along the rail lines. They had some switches that were freezing up, so if they had that issue, they would get individuals off at certain stations and utilize a bus bridge to get them to the next station. That is all I have, and would be happy to answer any questions, or I don't know if we want to do the video first.
Let's go ahead and do the video, then we'll take questions.
An Arctic blast arrived in Irving Saturday morning, making Lake Carolyn look more like Lake Michigan. Before long, Irving Parks and the Campion Trail were blanketed in sleet, snow, and ice. Irving residents hit the slopes, enjoying some frosty fun and perhaps training for the upcoming Winter Olympics. At the same time, treacherous roadways necessitated the closure of non-essential city facilities and services, with 24-hour emergency operations getting underway Friday night. Despite the icy conditions, city staff sprang into action. Fire and police personnel responded to hundreds of calls across the city. Employees from a number of departments, like CIP, Parks and Recreation, Fleet, and Traffic and Transportation, worked around the clock. Streets crews spread more than 900 cubic yards of sand on Irving roadways. As emergencies like water main breaks arose, crews like this water utilities team answered the call. Even as frigid temperatures dipped into the single digits, with wind chills at times below zero. Across the organization, city staff worked to keep residents safe and informed, so they could enjoy Irving as an icy paradise.
All right, any questions? No? Abdul?
Thank you. Just on behalf of the residents of Irving and especially from my district, I would like to say thank you to the city staff, the police department, the fire for doing a wonderful job during this inclement weather conditions. This is such a pleasing thing to see that our city, even in these conditions, take care of their responsibilities. So thank you, Chris, and all the team. Thank you.
Dennis?
Yeah, I can just add you some numbers to the inclement weather shelter update. Again, it did open up on Friday. It was at capacity 2 hours later. Capacity is 85. We end up opening up the overflow on Monday. The overflow wasn't quite ready yet. So been averaging about 140 between the two locations. So just kind of give you some more numbers and a kind of good. And hats off to all the nonprofits that have been really putting this together, and hats off to the city of Irving for the funding that was approved by the council to help with that shelter, because it really makes a difference. There's a lot of expenses running the shelter.
Chris?
Hey, thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. We do usually receive a lot of appreciation notes that come into your office, into my office as well during these events. I just want to call out one in particular. I got this one, just received this one about 2 hours ago, so this will be a little bit of a quick shout out to one of our businesses. This is from Linda and Olivia at the Irving Nothing Bunt Cake group. Some of us have been there a number of times. They say, we are reaching out on behalf of our business after the recent weather-related closures. We wanted to take a moment to thank the City of Irving teams who are out treating the roads and keeping the city running while so many of us were stuck at home. Because we were closed for a few days, we have a number of marketing cakes available, and we'd love to share them as a small thank you to the crews who worked through the conditions, particularly those in public works, street operations, or any other departments involved in road treatment and emergency response. Thank you so much for all you do to the city and for helping us pass along our appreciation of your team. So Linda is now coordinating the distribution of Nothing Bunt Cakes out to our crews. So crews, hopefully, I don't know if they know how many crews we have, but we'll spread the cakes out as much as we can. So just thank you, a quick shout out to Nothing Bunt Cakes and to all the residents. And I appreciate the videos of the kids having fun. It was amazing, the craziest things that people used for sleds. I saw storage bins, a whiteboard, my favorite one And I'm not saying we condone this, but my favorite one was one of those blue plastic pools full of at least, I lost count, at 7 college students flying down the hill at Northgate. And I'll leave it at that. They were having fun.
Yeah, my kids used an old boogie board from an old beach trip. So, pro tip, those work really well, actually. Thank you very much. You guys did a tremendous job. All right, so that is the end of our city operations updates. That'll take us to review of the regular agenda. All right, so item 1 will be the city operations updates. We'll get some presentations that we got at Transportation and Natural Resources this morning. Looking forward to being able to share that information with the residents in an accessible format. Items 2 and 3 are minutes. Item 4 is a resolution approving submission of a Victims of Crime Act Formula Grant Program application to the Office of the Governor, Criminal Justice Division for Public Safety Wellness Unit Clinical Services, and designating the city manager as the grantee's authorized official and the accounting manager as the grantee's financial officer. Jocelyn, do you?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Wasn't sure if you wanted to speak on that. Okay. Item 5, resolution approving submission of a General Victim Assistance Direct Services Program grant application to the Office of the Governor, Criminal Justice Division for Specialized Trauma Services Partnership, and designating the city manager as the grantee's authorized official and the accounting manager as the grantee's financial officer. Item 6, resolution approving an amendment to the commercial lease agreement for a satellite office for the police department for an additional 2-year term. 7, resolution approving a deed without warranty with the state of Texas, acting by and through the Texas Transportation Commission and on behalf of the Texas Department of Transportation for the purchase of property in the amount of $4,140,417 and closing costs not to exceed $30,000, located in the John C. Reed Survey Abstract Number 1182, City of Irving, and also being Lot 1R and Lot 2R, Block A of Airport Stadium Motel Addition revised, an addition to the City of Irving. Number 8, resolution amending resolution number 2025-332 to clarify the BroadTech LLC's nomination to the Office of Governor, Economic Development and Tourism through the Economic Development Bank for designation as a qualified business and a half-enterprise project under the Texas Enterprise Zone Act, Chapter 2303, Texas Government Code. Item 9, a resolution approving amendment number 1 to the interlocal agreement with North Central Texas Council of Governments in the amount of $23,515.20 for 2026 planimetrics data. Items 10 through 22 are the bids. Did anyone want to talk about any bid items? All right. All right, item 23 is an ordinance amending Chapter 16A, Section 16A12, entitled Disposition and Use of Revenue of the Code of Civil and Criminal Ordinances of the City of Irving, Texas, providing changes to the disposition of hotel occupancy tax to comply with state law and providing a severability clause. Mark.
Maybe we should hear about that one, because that's important.
Yep. All right, Mara? Get a presentation on that.
Thank you, Fernando. Mayor Pro Tem, Council, Maura Gast, Executive Director, Irving Convention and Visitors Bureau. This is a conversation we've been having for quite some time and kind of really started to move it forward last May at your strategic budget planning retreat. So just want to touch a little bit on the 101 of the hotel occupancy tax here in Texas, some of the unique things related to Irving's legislation, some related issues, history of the allocations, and then the revised recommendations that were coming forward for your action today. For the 101, the hotel occupancy tax varies by city and state and is a tax charged on the sales retail rate of a room. In Irving, that total is 15%, 9% of which is local to Irving, 6% of which is the state tax. Any guest staying overnight in a hotel pays this. So if the hotel rate is $100, the guest pays $115. There's an asterisk there because per state tax code, there are certain exemptions for certain tax-exempt organizations, and then for stays exceeding 30-plus days. There's 2 statutory uses of hotel tax revenues that the state allows, and it's a 2-part test for every expenditure. The first part is that the expenditure must directly enhance and promote tourism and the convention and hotel industry. And the second is that every expenditure must clearly fit into one of 9 statutorily provided categories for the expenditure of hotel tax revenues. Those 9 statutory categories, the first 5 are really the ones that specifically relate to Irving, as well as items 8 and 9. Items 6 and 7, relatives to sporting events or sporting facilities, are certain carve-outs for just certain locations within the state. But these are the statutory categories. That's part 2 of the 2-part test. Irving has some special legislation, and when the Irving Arts Center was first built, the hotel tax legislation at the time allowed civic centers as a legal use. By the time the debt service was paid off in 2007, that law had changed. So you have the Irving Arts Center, which was really built to serve a civic resident purpose as a home for resident art groups, now operating with a funding mechanism tied to visitors and not residents. In 2007, when that debt was paid off, the arts would have had to roll back to the state cap of 15%, which would have put them in a really difficult place at the time. We worked on their behalf with the State Hotel Association to allow them to receive, the 15% max plus an additional of up to $1.6 million a year for 15 years. That 15-year time frame was determined by calculating when the hotel tax projections would be sufficient so that the arts could live within the 15%. And the $1.6 million was determined as that was the operating gap, the difference between operating in the red and operating in the black. In 2013, there were some particular interests in Irving that wanted to extend that sunset deadline another 4 years. We worked once again with the Hotel Association to get that extension, but at that point, everybody agreed once that clock hit, there would be no further extensions. In 2017, another small group of interests independent of the Arts Board tried to revise the legislation once again, but ultimately this did not gain any traction. So the legislation sunsets as of September 1st of this year, therefore will slightly impact the current fiscal year and be in full fiscal effect for next year. That was factored into the budget process by the related departments this year. Just some related issues. When the Convention Center's feasibility study was done, it anticipated at that point in time that the $1.6 million was coming back to the ICVB to cover capital and operating costs, as well as provide additional sales and marketing resources. So without that funding, these past 15 years, we have funded that subsidy and capital out of our own operating allocation. And other than the relief that the ARPA funds provided, that's how we've funded the Convention Center and its operations and needs. Additionally, when the Arts Center debt was paid off, there was another $628,000 of funding availability that had been going toward the Arts Center debt, and so that was recaptured when it was paid off, and that has been swept to the Convention Center debt service. Any excess in the Convention Center debt service, which is 2 of that 9%, is restricted. The debt service reserve has been fully funded. It was done when the city refinanced the debt in 2019. There is a legal use of these funds other than sitting there in debt service is to be used for maintenance and operations of the Convention Center. One other item is that the hotel tax funds previously allocated for historic preservation museum efforts have now been consolidated into what is the now Irving Department of Arts and Culture. And when the council moved forward with the plans to build the Irving Archives and Museum, it was noted that that entity was going to operate in the red and need an annual operating subsidy of $450,000. So the history of the hotel tax allocation, we started back in 1973 at 3% with 100% of the funding going to the CVB. In 1978, that was increased to 4% and was split between the CVB and the arts. In 1986, the CVB paid for the construction of the Arts Center offices and the main gallery with our share of the hotel taxes. In 1987, the 4% was increased to 5%. CVB got 60%, arts got 40%, and the city issued debt for the theaters and the galleries. In 1991, those allocations were tweaked further. In 1998, those allocations were tweaked again. They were increased to 7% instead of 5% in 2000 for the construction of the convention center. Of the other 5%, the ICVB got 57%, the arts 39.5%, historic preservation and museums 3.5%. 2001, we purchased the 40-acre site that would become the convention center. 2007, the debt service was paid off. In 2008, based on a citizen referendum, the 7% grew to 9%, and then things started getting wonky, and the way the ordinance ended up worded, arts was getting a percentage of the 7, CVB and historic preservation were getting percentages of the 5. In 2009, the debt was issued for the convention center. In 2019, the debt was refinanced. Arts, again, in that refinancing, the arts was getting 15 of the 7. CVB and historic preservation were getting their percentages of the 5. Since the hotel tax was first implemented here in Irving, more than $570 million has been collected. $131 million has gone to the arts, and that is net of the debt for the theaters at the Arts Center. $212 million has gone to the Convention and Visitors Bureau, which funded the initial Arts Center offices, and then it has included the operating subsidy and all capital for the Convention Center. $12 million has gone to historic preservation, downtown events, museum funds, and the remaining $215, almost $216 million has gone to fund the debt service for the Arts Center, Convention Center, entertainment venue, and then the city-owned elements of the Convention Center Hotel. Current hotel tax allocations, the 9% that's local, 2% comes off the top. That is the city's Brimer obligation. That was the citizen referendum to vote to fund the entertainment venue. The remaining 7%, 2 goes to the convention center debt. Arts gets 15% plus $1.6 million, and the remaining 5% after the convention center hotel revenue is taken out. Then the museum, historic preservation, and the CVB split it as you see there. Our actions to date, the CVB board adopted a resolution in support of these changes at its April 28th Board of Directors meeting. As I mentioned earlier, we brought this forward to you at your May 25 strategic planning retreat. Your council consensus was to move forward with the reallocations as proposed. We've worked very closely with the Irving Departments of Arts and Culture along with Finance and the City Attorney's Office to bring this revised ordinance forward. As I mentioned earlier, the 25-26 current year's budget incorporated these recommendations, and then the next year's budget will be the first full year of fiscal impact. So we want to clean this all up and hopefully make it simpler for everybody to work within. But provided your support and action on this item tonight, as of September 1, the allocations would be of the 9%, 2% to the entertainment venue, the remaining 7%, 47% to the Convention and Visitors Bureau and Convention Center operations, 15% the state law max allowed to the arts, 5% to the museums and preservation, in effect doubling their current source of revenue, and the remaining balance goes for any payment schedules for debt service for the Convention Center and the West End, and then any excess revenues in the Convention Center debt service will be directed to the Capital Improvement Fund for the Convention Center. I know that is a lot, and it is kind of an etch-a-sketch of kind of walking through it from the years, but that is the recommendation moving forward. It has the support of the Convention Visitors Bureau Board and the Department of Arts and Culture Board and the consensus from you all as of last spring. Happy to answer any questions or attempt to.
Al. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Maura.
Yes, sir.
Let's see if I understand this. As of September 1 of this year, the hot tax for what the initial, how many years was it, 14?
15 plus 4, 19.
Right, is ending. Are we no longer receiving hot tax, or can we allocate it, or is it coming out of our funds, city funds?
The money's still coming in. It's just you are now capped on the portion that the arts can receive. So that rolls back no matter what to 15%. And then our recommendation is basically to take the $1.6 million differential, put $1 million of it to the Convention Center and Convention and Visitors Bureau, and then take the $600 to the museums.
Yeah, I wanted to be sure I understood
Yeah.
that hot tax is still viable going forward.
Correct, correct.
And that this is.
It's
new
just the
allocation.
allocation that changes. Yes, sir.
That's what I thought, but I want to be sure. Thank you.
Yes.
Mark?
Just thank you for the presentation, and thank you for all the work and thinking it through. I'm glad we're not getting a test on this. I don't think we do very well, so I'm glad you're there for us. I just appreciate it. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
All right. Thank
Thank
you very
you all.
much. Item number 24 is an ordinance amending Section 38103 of the Code of Civil and Criminal Ordinances to revise the required representation of the Impact Fee Capital Improvements Advisory Committee. Item 25 is an ordinance considering an amendment to the Comprehensive Policy Statement on Local Economic Development Business Stimulation Incentives to modify the Corridor Enhancement Incentive Program and to replace the Downtown Facade and Sign Enhancement Incentive Programs with a new Downtown Property Enhancement Incentive Program. And that brings us to our zoning cases.
Hi, I'm Kim with Inspections, and we're here to request a sign variance for the H-E-B grocery store off of 635. They are requesting their new pole sign to exceed the 150 square feet maximum allowed to 178 square feet 178.59 square feet, and to allow the 3 monuments to forego the brick, stone, or like materials to encase the cabinet. It's located at 2351 North State Highway 635. There's going to be a monument up on the north side, the south side, and the west side, and then the pole sign's going to be southwest. The blue dots are for the monuments, and the red dot is going to be for that pole sign. This is just a bird's eye view. These have, they've met all setbacks, and they're not in an easement. The sign on your right is going to be the monument sign. It's the H-E-B capsule on top, that they want to forego the brick, stone, or like the materials to encase it. And then the one on your left is going to be the pole sign, just a little bit larger in the sign area. And then this is the property elevations. The top one's looking east from Home Depot Drive. The one on the bottom is looking south from Marketplace Boulevard. And then this is the corner, the southwest corner. The existing tenant sign will be removed. And then the bottom one is looking north from the south side of the property. And that's it. That's all I got. Any questions?
Any questions? Dennis?
Yeah, I just got I guess a curiosity question. And so this is like 28 square feet extra. Have we ever granted this much of a variance to a sign any time? Anybody know before? Now, I support H-E-B, don't get me wrong. But I'm also realizing that when we start going down this path here, and people are going to point back to, hey, you did this for H-E-B, what about us? So I'm just curious, have we ever done this before as far as having this type of a variance being granted for a sign?
We have.
Okay.
I don't have that information in front of me, but I can get that to you.
So this won't be the precedent here?
No.
Okay, I'm good.
I mean, off the top of my head, I imagine the Music Factory probably got something like, an area variance like that.
We own it, though.
I know, I'm not, yeah. Al?
Yeah, Dennis, you'll recall along that line, there was a couple of, like Burger King and a few others.
Yeah, I just want to make sure this
That
wasn't
was
the
one of
first
the
one.
ones I
I'm
think
voting
we were talking about.
Al, your mic's off.
So we did do it.
Yeah, I'm just making sure it's not the first one.
You're good. Adam?
Thank you. I just had a question about number 4 on the variance criteria. It just says special conditions exist that are unique to the applicant or property. And maybe this is just my ignorance of the signage requirements, but what exactly are the special conditions that exist? Is that that's what I'm thinking, yeah.
That's a subjective evaluation by council.
Oh, these are just variance criteria?
Correct.
Okay, this isn't, they didn't name anything in an application or something? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think they're not going to find a lot of opposition to their brand on council. Thank you.
I just got one question though about the wording here, because it says, in section 221-C of the Urban Land Development Code, sets forth the criteria. It states that the city council must determine that. So am I not interpreting that correctly, or? Because you said it's subjective.
That's correct. It's just, the assumption is if you vote in favor, you have found that all those criteria were met.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, when considering a variance, it is our responsibility to determine whether those criteria are met. So that's why the must. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
All right. So we just have a few cases for tonight. Jocelyn Murphy, Director of Planning. Good afternoon. We had split the cases, so we're trying to lower the quantities for you. That's why we just have a few. So the first one is item 27. It's at 712 South Beltline Road. They are commercial outdoor 2, SP2, SP1, and they're essentially just trying to revise their site plan, increase the size of their building, change some of their parking, and which essentially adjusts their use to only be able to be retail. So staff recommended approval. P&Z was approval 8-0, no opposition or support. So here's the site. I believe it's north of Shady Grove. And it's in front of a property that's been condoed, so it's mostly auto repair in the rear, and the individual buildings had been purchased, and they're all accessed through a shared private access easement. So this is on the left is the current site plan. It's about 2,100 square feet. The purpose for the site plan was to limit the amount of cars. It was currently for auto repair with a few cars for sale. He's wanting to expand to about 2,500 square feet, and that basically takes him down to his minimum amount of parking that he can have, which is 7 spaces. So he can't keep any cars overnight for repair. This is supposed to be a daily repair, and he doesn't have any room for auto repair in the future. So he's going to be a very tight, limited space. But this is essentially just a revision of his site plan to expand his building. And the site, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? All right, next one.
Okay. Next one is 3723 Conflans from ML20A to Community Commercial. Staff approval, P&Z approval 8-0, no opposition or support. This is on Conflans Road. It's just north of the Bear Creek area. So we have the West Aquatic Irving Center almost next door. The property is zoned to ML20A. They had gotten a building permit and CO for warehouse, and come to find out they were using it for an ambulance service. So zoning it to CC allows them to use it for an ambulance dispatch. It is future land use local commercial, but the ML20, which is light industrial, is not appropriate in local commercial at all. So the community commercial gets us closer to local commercial without having to change the land use extensively. So we didn't want to start, we didn't want to change the future land use of this area for this one use, but it is better than the light industrial that's there today. So this is their site plan. Again, they've done some interior work, have some overnight rooms, just a dispatch area, and again, this is for a private ambulance dispatch service. And it's pictures of the property. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
David.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
On noise on these type of businesses, with the ambulance, are they turning their lights and sounds on?
We talked about that. So what I understand, because it's a private, and any emergency services are going to be handled through the city operations. This is more if they're transferring from a hospital to a nursing home, so it's more of the private transfer scenario when you need an ambulance, a medical service to do that, but it's not intended to be from an emergency perspective.
Great, thank you. And, I saw the notes in here and it looked like, were they originally intending to do this, you think, and coming back after the
I
fact?
don't want to make
or-
any suppositions. That's a question, that's a question for the applicant, yep.
All right, thank you.
All right, next one.
All right, 505 Thompson Street, it's R6, and they want to do, keep an accessory dwelling unit in the rear. Staff recommends denial, P&Z recommended denial 8-0, and no opposition or support. So here's the property at Thompson Street, just north of Irving Boulevard. Get right to it. So it is an accessory building in the rear. It also, because of its height, does not meet the setbacks. We did a little research and it didn't look like, sometimes a building has been in the rear for a while and they've just added to it. We couldn't find any aerial or any existence of this building, so it appeared to be relatively new. So request is to keep the accessory dwelling unit in the rear and allow a 6-foot 4 side setback for a building that is 14 foot tall. So this is the subject property in the front. So this is the accessory building in the rear. The owner can explain a little more tonight about what their intention is. I believe you have a letter of intent in your package as well. He explained something about having it be a study area for his family, I believe. It does have a fully connected permanent air conditioning system. And here's some pictures from code compliance on the inside. It does have a kitchen, a full bath, and living and sleeping facilities. And for that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? All right, next one.
I think that's
the
my last one. Yep.
Hey, John.
Dennis.
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna be the elephant in the room here with this question. How do we get this far knowing the history of ADUs, and were they told, enlightened, whatever term you want to use, about what chance they got of getting this passed?
If they're not prohibited through the ordinance, then we have the SP process. That's the only process we have to go through.
Okay, I would encourage y'all to start telling them, maybe, I suggest you go back and look at the council meetings on this date, this date, this date, this date, this date. You ain't telling them what's gonna happen, but they can draw their own conclusions so that they don't waste their time
We do.
on these,
We do.
okay? Because we all know how it's gonna turn out.
Well, and a lot of times they're already built, so they don't have a lot of option other than voluntarily taking it down.
Okay.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Excuse me.
So item 30, oh, Al.
John, looking at the two photos, one looks like they just built it. The other one looks like that's what it was there, like a little outhouse or doghouse. Now, am I assuming that this has been built and they have been permitted, or what? Or are they seeking that now because they can do it?
Yeah, it was not permitted. I think staff, in looking at the aerials, we determined it's been there since early, I think about 2000, maybe not 2000, but, yeah, maybe 20.
Can you add
2020.
some information on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the original building was, which was just a shed, appears to have been built around 2014 to 2016, somewhere around there. Shane, who again is unable to be here today, did note that this was actually something that code enforcement stumbled on from originally it was a trash out early complaint. And so when they went out for the one thing, they saw this, and so they investigated further. So this is from just a code enforcement investigation. It's the reason we found out. It's really unclear how long it's been. We know the building was expanded sometime around 2022, but it's a little hard to tell exactly what was done. The insides, this was done without a permit.
Was the original building done without a permit?
I believe so, but I'll defer to, I believe it was done without a permit, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we weren't able to find anything, so.
Okay.
It doesn't look it, that's why I asked.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, item number 30, we'll have some appointments for Animal Services Advisory Committee and Irving Capital Improvements Advisory Committee. The names were in the full packet, so I assume everybody's had a chance to review those, and
I have copies of them, the resolution, if y'all would like to see them.
yeah. I think if anybody would like to discuss them, we can do executive if necessary, but if not, I think we'll just have a nomination from our co-chairs.
Actually, you're not able to go into executive session on these. These
On
are.
these?
Mhm.
Okay, then we don't have the option. Great. All right, so we'll have a nomination from our co-chairs tonight. David?
Yeah, just briefly on the animal services, we need a veterinarian on the board. And we picked a veterinarian, I think lives in the Louisville area. For the other committee is required from the state law to have construction or construction-related people on the committee, so.
Yep.
We looked through it and had several that had no ties to any construction industry that we removed from the board and appointed to construction
Yeah.
personalities.
Yeah, and one of them I wasn't familiar with, but his resume looked good, and the other one I think we're all familiar with, and we're very happy to have him on board. All right. So going back to the work session agenda. So we have an update on Lynott Park construction. All right, we'll hear from Joe.
All right, good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem, Council staff, Joe Moses, Parks and Recreation. Want to provide you a little bit of an update on Lynott Park and that project. The project is just over 4 acres. The original sites here were acquired in 2006, and then in 2012, during the road construction of Garwheeler, this additional site here was purchased. It's a neighborhood park. The design of that park was to service about a 1/4 mile to a 1/2 mile radius of the area. It's originally was an open space wooded area. There's a major drainage channel separating the 2 sites. It was listed as a priority in our 2019 master plan in open space that we developed this site, and we had about a little over $1.7 million for construction. The project has a 1/4 mile lighted concrete trail, and there's a bridge that joins the 2 sites, playgrounds, shade canopy, masonry wall, benches, and litter receptacles. It's a very shaded area with irrigation, so we feel it's a nice addition to our system. Here's some photos of the parks, the playground area. Photos of the trail and as it meanders through the trees, the bridge connecting the 2 sites, and then the lighted trail at night. And this is them finishing up some of the construction work out there. And that's it.
Any questions for Joe? Looks good. Looking forward to getting that, are we going to be doing a ribbon cutting or just inauguration or what?
Yes, usually we like to do those in the spring or so. Once it greens up a little bit, no one likes to be out there when the grass is all brown. We want to make sure the park is looking really good and pristine when we get everybody out there for photo ops.
Very good.
Yes, sir.
David?
More for informational purposes, but the place where the sandwich shop used to be there? Nemo's, Captain Nemo's?
Yes, sir.
I understand, is there a liquor store in there now, or in that shopping center?
I believe there is in that
And do we have any rules of distances to our parks? I mean, it's a beautiful entrance to the park, and you get a liquor store right there when you walk in.
Nothing, no,
No?
no,
All right.
sir.
All right, thank you.
And I imagine even if we did,
Grab a beer on the way in, right?
I imagine even if we did, since it predates the park, it would be
Yes.
grandfathered in. Al?
Okay, Joe, thank you for all your hard work on this. We've been,
Yes, sir.
this might be the right time for me to take the next step, and that is to the request that you probably see in here about moving forward on the requesting the renaming in the honor of the Jack Spurlock family.
I think we'll be doing that on the next agenda item.
Okay, I thought you were there. Okay. no, we're
Almost.
still on this,
We're
okay.
just about to get there, as long as there's no more questions for
Yeah,
Joe.
okay, well, good. No, I'm fine.
Okay.
I'll wait until then.
All right, now we're there. Agenda item number 5, public facility dedication, honorary plaque installation, and street renaming policy overview, and request to rename Lynott Park in honor of the Spurlock family.
And after Al introduces it, we do have a presentation if council is interested.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Al.
I'll wait on that then.
You want to wait on the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, well, that was an excellent segue. Thank you, Councilman Zapata, and good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem and members of the City Council. Rachel Wood, Assistant City Manager. We were very intentional with the placement of the previous item and this item because, as Councilman Zapata alluded, we have had a request to consider renaming Lynott Park after the Spurlock family. So the presentation I'm going to go through is 2 parts. First is a quick overview, just reminding you a few of the key details related to the current renaming policy, and then we'll go into the specific procedures required to consider renaming Lynott Park under the policy. So as a quick reminder, on November 9th, 2023, via resolution, the Irving City Council adopted your current renaming policy. That policy governs how the City of Irving handles the dedication of public facilities, installation of honorary plaques, and the renaming of streets. The policy also outlines criteria and procedure for making those changes. Under the policy, a public asset may be renamed if the proposed name is related to natural features, significant historical events, adjacency to neighborhoods or nearby streets, recognized community symbols, individuals or families who either donated or sold property to the city, deceased individuals who've been deceased for a minimum of 2 years with either international, national, or local prominence, families or entities with a record of significant creditable service to the community, or city employees killed in the line of duty. So as has been mentioned, the city manager did receive a request from the mayor to consider renaming Lynott Park in honor of the Spurlock family. That request initiated from Councilman Zapata, and then the mayor discussed it with Chris in further detail. Our current renaming policy outlines the following process for public assets that are nearing the completion of a significant renovation, which of course you just saw Joe's presentation on that $1.8 million renovation that is nearing completion at Lynott Park. So at least 3 members of the city council or the mayor have to formally request consideration of a new name, which has already occurred. Then discussing procedurally, Chris said he wanted to bring this to city council to get full consensus from the city council prior to proceeding with the next step in the process. And the next step in the process is the city manager would then designate a naming committee who would be responsible for managing the review and ultimately making a recommendation to consider renaming the park to the city council. So once formed, the naming committee is responsible for conducting research on the proposed names, evaluating community impact as well as cost, soliciting stakeholder feedback, and once they've done their research, they're then responsible for preparing a written recommendation that they then present to the city council. The city council then has the opportunity to review that recommendation, and they either recommend approval or disapproval. Of course, if you recommend approval, the park would be renamed. If you recommend disapproval, the matter would then be referred back to the naming committee for further review and a subsequent recommendation. So what we're looking for from you today is that consensus to consider renaming Lynott Park in honor of the Spurlock family. And if that consensus is established, then the city manager will designate a naming committee to begin their research and make their recommendation to you. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Al?
Okay, not a question, just a statement. And thank you for your hard work trying to work with us. The mayor and my request named myself, Dennis Webb, and David Path as the three for the naming committee, which you see a copy of my request. And so at this point, I think we're there. We're looking for the consensus of everybody that we now have a process to go through this, and that I think that's what my request is. And we're looking for a nod. Yes, go forward, committee, and bring it back to us. Okay, am I correct with that?
Chris?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. According to the policy, the city manager names the committee, and I'd be happy to name Al and Dennis and David to that committee.
Dennis?
My question is, what are we going to do?
What's that?
My question is, what are we going to do?
As the committee?
Yeah.
We are a committee.
Would you go back to the slide? I
Well,
believe,
because
that shows the.
Right,
that's-
exactly.
Those are your responsibilities.
What research are we going to do? We know the man's name. We know we want to name the park, so what kind, I need to know for myself. What research am I about to do?
And we as staff can provide you with some of the cost information. There will be cost implications. For example, Joe showed pictures of a brand-new sign that was just installed for the park, and so we will have to look at changing out that sign if we were to change the name of the park. So we'll give you a few details so that you can ultimately make your final recommendation to the full council at a subsequent meeting.
So so it'll be about possibly, it may cost too much for us to rename the park because of the cost of the sign.
Yes, and the policy does suggest stakeholder feedback, so reaching out to surrounding neighbors, business owners, as well as residents to find out if they are supportive of the proposed name change.
Okay, all right. I want the park renamed, but I don't want to be on this naming committee because I don't have that kind of time. I'm being honest. I don't have that kind of time to start getting involved. I'm in enough stuff already, okay? So I don't have enough time. I support naming the park, but as far as me reaching out to people and all that, I don't have the time to do that. So,
Well,
Luis,
that's
you can
fine.
take my
We're not-
place.
We're,
No.
right now, we're just looking for a consensus on
That's
whether
right.
to move
Just to
forward.
go forward.
Chris will
We
do
have
the
it, and
appointment.
then we'll determine, okay?
So, okay, I'm going to assume that for the consensus, I've already got Al, I've got Dennis, I've got David, I've got Adam, and I've got Abdul. All right, unanimous. Yeah, there are no requirements for the naming committee at all. It's just
It's just,
whoever Chris
I name
wants.
it, but if y'all want to be the naming committee, y'all can be the naming committee.
All right, Chris,
Whichever one
you've got your consensus. Let's, you can form your committee now.
He's already formed us, so let's go. Okay. All right. Good, thank you.
All right, and that brings us to item number 6, 2026 Low-Income Housing Tax Credit Applications Overview. Imelda.
Thank you for moving that.
Good afternoon, Imelda Speck, Senior Manager of Housing and Redevelopment. Here to walk through the applications that we've received for this year's LIHTC cycle. So just for a reminder, the low-income housing tax credits, those are tax credits that are allocated federally to the state's housing authorities. So it's managed by the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs. And those tax credits are then awarded on a competitive basis statewide. And the point of these tax credits basically help to bring in private equity into the development or rehab and preservations of affordable housing units. So developers, when a project is awarded the tax credits, they go and then sell those credits to get private equity into a development that those investors can then turn around and claim for over a 10-year period. And again, the benefit is bringing that private equity in and then having a long affordability period to help control rent for projects. I did want to take a sidestep here than our normal presentation because there have been some questions regarding the difference between LIHTC, Section 8 housing, and even public housing. So wanted to take a moment to help explain the difference because sometimes those terms are used interchangeably and they're quite different. So while all three of the programs are helping to get to the means of affordable housing, they do it in different ways. So as I mentioned, the LIHTC program is helping to incentivize developers to help create or preserve affordable housing units, again, focusing more so on the supply, while Section 8 is actually the Housing Choice Voucher Program. So the purpose here is to offer rental assistance with the focus helping households be able to access the market now and have affordable rents. So they get actually vouchers through a public housing authority to be able to utilize at any rental unit within a city or within a county, as long as the landlord is willing to accept that voucher. And that landlord accepting that voucher then has to follow the requirements of that program. Now, sometimes these programs do overlap in the sense that LIHTC projects will accept households with vouchers in order to pay for their rent. So sometimes I think that's where the confusion comes when the terms or things are, oh, that's Section 8 housing. It's not Section 8 housing. It's a LIHTC housing project that may be accepting Section 8 vouchers. So there's a difference there. Those, for a little bit more detail, those are known as tenant-based vouchers, so they will be assigned to the actual household. And again, that household can use that throughout the community. There are vouchers, though, that are known as project-based vouchers, which would be assigned and awarded to an actual development, so that voucher stays tied to the unit that it is subsidizing. So once the household moves out of that unit, they don't get to take that voucher with them. It stays with the project. So that's when a voucher can be assigned or associated with a particular development. Lastly, we have public housing, which this is more about when the units are owned and operated by the government, your public housing authority. So this helps to provide the units as well as the operation of the affordable housing for your lowest income households. Those are only operated, we see those from public housing authorities. We haven't seen any new developments as those were capped back in the 90s, but you will now see some overlap with the voucher program as a lot of the public housing projects are converting to long-term project-based vouchers through a program with HUD there. So sometimes the programs can overlap to help with leveraging of funds and creating deeper subsidies to be able to provide affordable housing, but they are three distinct types of programs. This is just a side-by-side comparison chart to help show just high level how they are different, and again, being the purpose of building, preserving, helping the rent, and then providing housing directly. You'll see where the income ranges, the targets of households of who we're trying to serve with those various programs, and then what the city's role is. So in each of these, for Irving, we don't have necessarily a direct role. The closest we come to is LIHTC, where we are considering resolutions of support, which is more of an indirect role in the resolution of support is part of an overall application for the state. The only time we really become involved is when we decide as a city to provide additional incentives, maybe additional funding or land, is really when we become involved in those projects. For Section 8, you'll see city role admin / oversight, but that's via the Public Housing Authority. Same with public housing. Irving is not a public housing authority, so we do not provide vouchers. We do not have any public housing within the city. All of that money went to Dallas Housing Authority. Now, there are several other public housing authorities throughout Dallas County, such as Dallas, Grand Prairie, Plano, and Garland Mesquite. They have vouchers, and they provide those vouchers to households who may utilize them in Irving apartments or any place that, again, is a rental unit. So a landlord that rents out their home may accept a voucher from a household. So that's really the only place where the city becomes involved in that aspect. So therefore, the map here represents only our LIHTC sites, so projects that have been funded through the LIHTC program. This is a summary of us tracking all of the LIHTC projects that have occurred within the city since the late 1980s. So the red dots are those that are projects where we've considered their lost low-income housing tax credit units, meaning their affordability has run out, they did not re-syndicate, and they did not reapply, meaning they did not reapply for tax credits. Some of those projects may still accept vouchers from households, but they are not associated with the LIHTC program or any other type of affordable housing program. The potentially lost are those that have ended their affordability period, but are still still utilizing income requirements and implementing those in regards to their tenant placement. These two in particular are ones that their affordability period ended at the end of 2025, and then they have shared with staff that they are still adhering to those income requirements and are looking at potentially re-syndicating, but have not done so yet. We do not have any at-risk units. Those are ones where their affordability period would be ending within the next 5 years. So as of today, we don't have any. And then the green are those that are active, and on here we'll already see the proposed location. This is just a chart to show how we are tracking the units over the years. So again, you'll see several of these that have become what we considered lost, so they are no longer required for an affordability period. But we do know that they are on lists with some of our housing authorities that they do accept housing vouchers. So that's where they are still associated with potentially an affordable housing program. So getting back into this year's cycle of the application. So as mentioned previously, the state, the TDHCA, is who administers the low-income housing tax credits for the state, again, through that competitive process. And they use the Qualified Action Plan, or QAP, to put together a scoring criteria to consider their applications for each region. They're looking at multiple scoring criteria. These are just a few. So site control, the quality of the housing, so they look at the size of the units, other unit features and amenities, who are they serving, what access to opportunity, so are they in a low poverty census tract, what other amenities, community amenities are they near, and then the community support and engagement, and this is where the city comes in regards to how we are involved with this process. So one of the aspects of community support is receiving a resolution of support from the municipality that the project is located in. There are different types of resolutions that can be considered. Again, that resolution of support, which provides 17 points, no objection 14 points, and either no action or opposition is 0 points. So this can greatly affect their ability to be awarded the tax credits, because again, it is a very competitive process. So even just the difference between the 17 and the 14 points can make or break the award of LIHTC, tax credits, excuse me. And as a reminder, 3 years ago, Council approved our LIHTC policy and scoring criteria, which we utilize to help compare the applications each year, trying to create an apples to apples, how it aligns with Council priorities. And so this, again, is the overview of that scoring criteria. So we'll go through how this project scores against the criteria that previously approved. So we just had one application this year, Salina West. This is from the developer we know, Osta Industries out of Austin. This could potentially be their third project here in Irving, located at 2520 West Irving Boulevard. It is an adaptive reuse project, so where they're looking at utilizing a current office building and converting it to residential. Typically, we get the request for a resolution of support and the commitment of development funding of $500. In addition, they are also needing a resolution where the council is supporting this project because it is within 1 mile or less of an existing LIHTC development that was approved 3 years ago or less, and serving the same population. This is Envoy 64, which was approved last year. So by our map, we're showing that they are actually just outside that 1 mile distance, and from their calculations, they're estimating it to be about 1 mile and 50 feet or so, or something like that. But just to be on the safe side, They are requesting that you consider that resolution as well, because if they don't have that resolution, the application can't move forward at all, even with a resolution of support for the other. So they'll need both of those resolutions in order to move forward. And then just for context, the other green dot that's actually inside of the circle here on Irving Boulevard, that's Canova Palms. This one was outside of, it was more than 3 years ago, but it also is serving seniors, so not that general population as this project and Envoy 64 are serving. With our application, we have some threshold eligibility. So first they have to show site control, which they have. Then we look at if it either complies with the current zoning or they have gone through a formal consultation process with planning, understanding if they are to go through a zoning process, they understand what the development standards are in order to change zoning. They did do the formal consultation. Also noted this is zoned commercial, so with recent state law, multifamily would be allowed with an office conversion. However, they have noted that they may be needing to go through that rezoning anyway because of needing to add on to the building. So if they do need to add on to the building, that would trigger a rezoning to multifamily, and then the office conversion would no longer apply. So we'll get a little bit more into that later, but here they've met the threshold because they had that formal consultation. They've held their 2 public information sessions and notified those constituents at least 7 days prior. So again, the project is along Irving Boulevard. It's just under 3.5 acres. It's a 1964 office building. Located in TIF 2, and what they're proposing to do with it is, again, convert it to multifamily, providing 78 units. That would be 100% income restricted to 80% AMI, and with a 45-year affordability period. And again, this would be for the general population, so no special population there. They are also seeking to get it historically designated by the State Historical Commission, and then applying for historic tax credits as part of their financing for the project. By doing this, it also gives them 2 more points on the QApp. And as with their other projects, their proposed amenities would include the high-efficiency appliances, laundry hookups, on-site case management, and other social services that would be included on-site. And then the development would be not tax exempt. Just a little bit about the unit and income mix. So majority of the units would be 2-bedroom, and then the majority of the income that they'd be targeting would be that 50 to 60% AMI. Future rents, since again this is going from office to residential, there's no existing rents to consider. So these would be the future rents based again upon AMI for each bedroom, for each unit type. If this is the building at 2520, again, a 4-story 1964 build. And then this is more of an aerial view to show more of the, all of the parking that is around it. Just so you can get an idea, they did not share any concept plans of what they would do with the building, but again, if they go through and get the historical designation, they have gone through this with another project in Longview. The former petroleum building in Longview, Texas. This is the before, where you can see that similar 1960s aesthetic. This was the outside and inside of the abandoned building. And then just to show, they beautified the outside. They had to keep the outside as it is because it's a historical building, so keeping that aesthetic there, but then updating the inside to more modern amenities. In regards to scoring, they received 45 out of 100. Where they fell short was in our aligning with land use. So they were not awarded points here because it's currently not zoned. It's zoned commercial and does not meet the criteria for a future land use change. Since they did share that it was potentially going to go, most likely going to go through a rezoning, the conversion status was unknown. So this is why we awarded 0 points there. Another area where they did not receive any points or did not score well was the deconcentration factor. So for our purposes, while the state looks at a 1 mile buffer, for our purposes, we look at 1.5 miles between our affordable housing projects. And so they did receive 0 since Envoy is within 1.5 miles from that project. And then also Canova Palms has more than 5 years remaining on its affordability period. They're not providing any market rate units. It's 100% affordable. And otherwise, they received full points for the 30% AMI, and they did get 1 letter of support at the time of the application. This is a closer view of where this project is in relation to other LIHTC projects in the area. So again, that 1.5 mile buffer does include Canova Palms and Envoy. Just outside of that, we have the Britton Way apartments in the northeast and the MacArthur project there on the southeast. So timeline, here we're providing our overview of the application. You can have any questions for us. And then on the 12th is when, during your regularly scheduled meeting, the developer will have 5 minutes to present to you their project and their application, and you'll be able to ask them questions and then take consideration on which resolution. Then from there, they'll submit their application by February 27th. In June, we get kind of the scores in early June and final awards in July. So, any questions?
Any questions? David?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. The Envoy 64, was that the same program? 'Cause
Yes.
We just awarded that last.
So we provided a resolution of support last January, and it was awarded by the state in July.
Okay, because I thought that was the same complex that we awarded some other.
Envoy 64, we also provided the Dallas County ARPA funds to,
Okay,
yes.
so that was a double program then?
That's where we are more involved in that project, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I remember it, but I don't remember seeing it, the presentation, so I think that was before me.
For the LIHTC.
For the LIHTC?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that was in February of last year.
Yeah.
But those are two separate programs on their own, correct?
For Envoy, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where they're leveraging
So the
various
Dallas one
funds.
has no bearing on being a LIHTC recipient?
No.
Okay.
They're just leveraging different funding sources for that.
Thank you. And this is right across the street from the giant Plymouth Park, ex-Plymouth Park Shopping Center as well, right?
That is correct.
And is this the same owner as the Plymouth Park Shopping Center, or is this a different
No,
ownership? group?
different owner.
Okay.
Al?
Yeah, thank you. Imelda, let me see if I understand correctly, because I did talk to the young lady, and they've done good work when they, and a couple of the, in fact, the one just down the road. So it's not about what they can do, it's but what can they do is really what I'm going to ask the question. That's based upon, because what she said to me, and I think you also said it, is that it has a historical building designation. Am I correct?
They are seeking to get it designated.
Oh, they're seeking to get it.
It has not received that yet, but they are in the process of getting that.
Okay, so how does that play with 840, or does it play at all? What I mean by that is that if they get it, then are they locked into what they can do with that building at that point?
There will be restrictions to what they can do to the outside of the building, and it will really impact the look of the building from the street side and the materials used there. As I mentioned, they're looking at adding on to the building because they're not, in order to get the unit count that they need. So once they add on to that building, 840 conversion goes away, and they're going to have to go through a zoning case, so then that's different.
Then it will apply to what we have to deal with.
Then they'll have to go through the zoning process, and it's not 8 stories, so we know there's going to be a variance process.
Yes. Well, that's where we start, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's what I'm trying to get to so that we understand what this is. The only concern I have is that that's a very open and obvious location of where that building was. And Bank of America used to be in there in the bottom, if I remember correctly, and the Bank of the West is just right down the corner. So it's really a commercial space. And so then we're looking at going with multifamily right smack on a major thoroughfare again. So, end of comment. Let's wait and see what happens.
Okay.
Mark?
So what are we being asked to do?
Right now, nothing. We will be asked on the 12th to have consideration of the resolution of support.
Okay.
And the
that's right.
resolution of support, which is the regular, typical resolution, but in addition, a resolution of support due to the project's location being within that 1 mile, within a project awarded 3 years ago.
How many points is that for council support?
That second resolution of the 1 mile, 3-year, if they don't get that, the project doesn't go forward at all.
Okay. And then what if, I know that we're always asked, to give our recommendation of support or not. How many points is that?
17.
17?
Uh-huh.
Okay. And, so here, I guess on slide, they're not numbered, but the one where you broke down the points, it talks about aligns with land use, and so they got 0 for that because, as Al was indicating, this is a commercial corridor, right? So that's why they get 0 for that?
Yes, because the conversion status is unknown at this time. If they go through, as of right now, it's like 95% sure that they're going to have to get it rezoned. So applying that, not considering SB 840, then that's why we awarded 0 here, because they're having to go through a zoning process, which is currently zoned commercial and land use is commercial.
And the comprehensive plan has it for commercial as well?
Correct.
Yeah. And you mentioned it's in TIF 2, so that's in line with the goals of TIF 2 as well?
Redeveloping that court, yes. So we included that in the presentation because it is in an area that we are wanting to redevelop, so that it does have, and in our scoring criteria, it is an adaptive reuse project.
Well, so I have a question. Is this consistent with what we want for TIF 2? Or for what TIF 2 is meant to achieve for this area? Or is that not a fair question because it's all kind of lumped together?
I think we have to think about that whole specific spot, and if we're looking at the land use that's what I'm going off of right now.
And so we're obligated to consider the request. I mean, I think KO said before, we don't have to actually have LIHTC. There's no Fair Housing Act compliance issue here, right?
You have to consider their requests.
Yeah.
And I think before you consider their application, we can give you some advice. I think there's an array of questions about that. So they are able to submit their application. We ask for consideration of that. Obviously, the LIHTC piece and then any rezoning are 2 different decisions, but they do have some linkages, so we do want to kind of talk through that.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you want to do that?
Yeah.
An executive session?
No, go ahead.
Okay, well, I'll keep going.
We'll do it next time, since we're not being asked to consider anything
Okay.
right now.
The
I'm
chart
gonna
you
push
had.
that off on Rick.
I'm sorry, Tyler. The chart you had, like the 5th slide or so, where you mapped out all the different LIHTC properties throughout the city.
Yes, sir.
There's a clumping there, like where we are now. And a lot of those are the red. You said they're proposed. What makes those proposed LIHTC properties, the reds?
Reds are not proposed, those are lost. So those are no longer having to comply with an affordability period.
If you go back to your map.
The proposed is a magenta, and the red is lost.
Oh, okay. I see, I'm not getting the color differentiation. Okay.
On the printout, those colors are very similar, but if you look really closely, you can't tell the difference.
No,
but-
yeah.
Okay. And you were talking a little bit about the Section 8, and that gets quite confusing. You kind of went, you did very well with that, which is that, so, we don't issue, the city of Irving does not issue Section 8 vouchers.
That is correct.
Grand Prairie and Dallas do.
And other housing authorities, those are through housing authorities,
Okay, and then anybody can come to Irving and use those.
as long as the landlords accepts them.
Right,
Yes.
and that's just up to the landlord regardless of the property, what kind of property it is. And then, do we have any, but then some apartments may be Section 8 housing apartments. Is that right?
No, Section 8, there's no Section 8 housing apartments per se. I guess the part where that might be confusing is if a LIHTC project could be awarded project-based vouchers for a project.
Okay.
But we don't have any of those in Irving.
Okay,
So you sometimes see those more with permanent supportive housing. I've seen project-based vouchers that help pay the rent versus with the LIHTC, but it can happen.
And then for the housing, the PHA, we don't have any of those in Irving, right? Public Housing Authority?
No.
Okay, thank you.
David?
Yeah, let me kind of spin back, because both of those up in the northern part, Valley Ranch, are obviously my concern. They're really ready to have a conversion of some sort, because when you look at where they're located and what the opportunity for a whole remodeling, redevelopment of that kind of property, and yet we're kind of haven't done anything with it. So I guess what I'm looking for, Philip, this is something you may want to think about, and obviously yourself, Imelda, what are our options to do something or promote something in the area of redevelopment of those two structures up there? Because they're out of that, call it Section 8, whatever it was called in those days, but it's over. One is over as of last year, and the other one will be shortly. So
we can relook at the multifamily rehab loan program that we brought previously, or another program like that if the city would like to re-engage into multifamily rehab conversations. But as of right now, your direction to us was to focus on senior housing, home ownership rehab, and promotion of home ownership. So we put a pause on that program. But if that's something you would like us to reconsider, we can bring back.
Well, I think we want to look at it, don't we? Yeah, I think we'd like to have you relook at it, because they're sitting there. And I've had feedback that, God, what are you doing about this? Because I'm not going to get into it other than that's where I think Barbara Bush Middle School is. And there's a lot of angst, I guess I want to be, as to some of what's going on up there. And so they're really trying to see what we can do as a city to try to help find a new type of ownership and development or remodeling. I guess that's as simple as I can put it. And if we can't, we can't. If we can, I'd like us to at least think about how we do that.
Councilman, just to follow up with Imelda's comment, I mean, last time we had this conversation, the council's direction was very explicit and clear that we did not want to subsidize multifamily rehab projects. And so we moved on from that. I hear what you're saying.
Okay, I'm not asking about that.
The issue we would run into is if we did do that, it would typically be a subsidize based on their promise to provide affordable housing. That's where the state law gives us some flexibility when it comes to using public dollars on housing, that there's some affordability component. I think we would be more limited if it was just a subsidy to give them rehab as market rate. That would be more difficult to accomplish, I think.
Well, maybe I'm using the wrong term when I say rehab. You know, we give companies that come in here tax abatements. Is this an applicable way to maybe incentivize somebody to come and do something?
We would have to look at that. Typically, when you incentivize housing, it is to promote affordable housing.
Okay.
Which implies that, some income verification or income limits on the renters. An abatement or an incentive of any kind would typically have to have some affordability component associated with it. We can certainly look at it.
Yeah, that's because at the end of the day, if the owners in these two locations are taking vouchers, my sense is, I think the economics are going to show that we may want to look at this other approach. Okay, that's all I'm looking for. And if it doesn't show up right, it doesn't show up, okay? Or it doesn't pan out.
David?
Thank you. Imelda, the 17 points for the resolution, I'm trying to find, where is that in our score criteria?
That is on the Q app, and that's slide 8. Excuse me. Those are the points awarded by the state.
Yeah, and so is this the one, the Zeleno West scored criteria that you've already scored
That's the
That's
city's
yours.
scoring.
Okay.
According to the policy that council approved 3 years ago and the scoring criteria. So it was a tool to help you weigh applications against the priorities that were set 3 years ago. So when each year they come in, you're seeing how they align with those priorities, especially when we have multiple applications within a year.
Okay,
Just
and
trying to make it more
where does
apples to
45
apples.
rank in this whole system of?
So we do
scoring?
not have a cutoff. We do not have a minimum. It is just a tool for your consideration. So you can see that they scored 45 out of 100.
Right. Is that good, bad, indifferent?
It's 45.
I mean, it's 45. So.
Yeah, we haven't established a value to the scoring. This is simply informational so the council can see. It's especially useful when you have multiple applications you're considering at the same time. You can compare them, but we haven't said this number, you should give them a resolution of support. We haven't provided that.
Well, in that particular situation actually is what spurred the city to create these scoring criteria. We did have 2 properties come up at the same time, and the council just said, well, they both sound good, and gave both a letter of, I think one got a letter of support and one got a letter of no opposition, but because they both got competing scores, the state said, well, I don't know, and they gave one, I think one of them didn't get it because we kind of messed it up. Well, I wasn't on council at the time, but this was in direct response to having multiple. So part of it is if we have multiple applications, this gives us a sense of, according to the criteria we put together.
As a practical
how do
matter,
they
if they don't get 17 points, they're not going to get funded, as a practical matter.
And that 17 points is a whole different form of someone else's chart.
Yeah, that's at the state level.
They got a chart of 100 points, but not the same 100 points we got.
Theirs goes up.
Theirs isn't 100 points.
Yeah.
They have points assigned to certain things, and the resolution of support from the local government is worth 17. But I don't know if it's on a 100-point scale.
No, it is not.
So, go ahead, Mark.
No, just to follow up on David's question, I think so if we gave the 17 points, how would they be doing at the state level?
I missed that last.
If we gave the 17 points, how would their scoring be?
If we gave a resolution of support, both of them.
How would they do on the, I mean, they'd be in competition with all the other
I
applications.
get that, but
So
I mean, what is their chance of likelihood of success at the state level?
I would have to see what the other applications are. I don't have that. We can get there, when they submit, they can provide a pre-application score of what it looks like they're going to score. I just don't have that number. You typically see scores around, I think 141 is usually, you're trying to get to that, and then you can most likely get awarded in the region. And because they're awarded, there's certain credits that are allocated to different regions. So like projects in Dallas are not competing against San Antonio projects, for example. So.
Yeah, and we've had projects where they get a letter of support and they don't score as favorably at the state level because they're just beat out by a different project, like the one on Marketplace. That's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
They got the full 17 points, but it was just they were up against other projects that scored better at the state level. Dennis.
Yeah, bottom line is, if they don't get the resolution of support, they're not going to build it. They can't build it. So basically, if you want to keep it from coming, not that that's the motivation. Simply say, understand, if you don't give them the resolutions of support, they don't have a chance of getting it in your city.
Yep. Somewhat related question that I had out of curiosity. I know the legislature this last session, thank goodness, they curtailed the traveling housing finance corporations. But we do have one of those for now in our city. Is that not PHA?
No. A housing finance corporation was created by the city. Of PHA, that's through the federal government. You're awarded directly through the federal government.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
And the Irving turned that down a long time ago. So that's why we don't have, that's why we are not a PHA.
Okay.
All of our vouchers go to Dallas.
It is still publicly owned, and I don't know what their if they have any voucher status, but it wouldn't be through us. Or, I mean, not through us, but it wouldn't be on our radar. That's them.
Oh, yeah, a PFC, a Public Facilities Corporation, that's a state-enabled tool. A Public Housing Authority is associated with the federal government,
Okay,
HUD.
sounds good. Any other questions? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And that is the end of our agenda. So we're done. We stand adjourned, 3:10.